Back to the starting lineup with Scott Purrier, Ned Reynolds, and Art Haynes on your home for the St. Louis Blues. 102.1 The One.
And we very much appreciate your being with us on the starting lineup, and welcome back. Ned Reynolds along with
Scott Purrier.
And Art Haynes.
And we're awaiting our guest, Matt Derrick, talk a little Chiefs news as the NFL official season opens for business at 3 o'clock today.
Make mention of the Team USA lost to Italy last night.
Yeah, we talked about it in the first hour. Kind of an embarrassing moment for the U.S. when Michael Lorenzen beats you on the mound. That's never a good sign. I know I hate to say it with a former Royal near and dear to your heart there. But
no, I really liked him. He's a steady pitcher. He's about a number 5 pitcher. Yeah, that is embarrassing. Jack Caglione hit a big home run, of course, for Italy.
He did, yeah. And we do have breaking news. We've been talking about the Maxx Crosby Ravens.
Yes.
Trey Hendrickson, the Ravens pivot and agreed to terms with Trey Hendrickson, who is the Bengals' stud defensive end. So actually maybe came out better in this deal, didn't they, in the long run, the Ravens?
Yeah, I think so. They got a healthier guy, and Trey Hendrickson has just bedeviled the Chiefs for years. So, yeah, he's as good an edge rusher as there is.
He was a third-round pick in 2017. I was trying to see how old he is. So Crosby is 28. They're probably about right the same age, aren't they?
Yeah. I think he maybe about 30.
Is he? Okay, it's a little bit older, but a little bit healthier with no meniscus problem either. So,
yeah.
4-year deal worth $112 million. That Trey Hendrickson will sign with bonuses up to $120 million and a $20 million signing bonus. So, that's a nice move. And, of course, what does that leave the Raiders to do now? Be the Raiders, right?
Yeah. I mean, you went through all the additions that they made, and those will be helpful, I'm sure. But they got to be in cap hell now, and they're without Maxx Crosby, their best player.
What do you do? I mean, because if the Cowboys say no thanks, we're pivoting as well. I mean, there's 28 other teams out there going, maybe we can get Maxx Crosby cheap because they got to do something.
Yeah, that may well be. I mean, certainly there are a lot of teams that will want him. They won't want to take on that salary, but they might. So
the Ravens were giving up, I think, 2 firsts in their original deal. So maybe now you get him for 2 seconds or 2 thirds or a first and a third or something different. But then again, if the Ravens had concerns, you got to wonder, if you're somebody else, what concerns are there for them now with the health situation?
Yeah, if the knee was a problem with Baltimore, then it's certainly going to be with other teams as well. I'm wondering if the Raiders can just release him and eat the dead cap money and probably get a deal that way. There's some circumstances in the NFL where you get a compensatory pick. Does that sound right to you, Art?
Well, Matt can fill us in on that when he joins us.
I expect that's right.
Yeah.
Back to Team USA, you may have covered this, but so now it seems like Mexico versus Italy. We got to have Mexico win and score at least 5 runs.
How about Mark DeRosa not knowing the situation, too? Yeah, he's on MLB channel yesterday talking about, we punched our ticket. No, you didn't, his guys remind him, and now makes him look kind of silly there. You know who never looks silly is our guest on the line with us. He is the lead writer, editor of Chiefs Digest. We welcome in Matt Derrick, the former Hillcrest High School product. I guess you'll always be a product of Hillcrest High School, but Matt, thanks for joining us.
It's great to catch up with all 3 of you guys. Thanks, Scott.
You bet. Yeah, Ned had a question on this, and we're trying to figure out. So the Ravens nix the deal with Maxx Crosby. They pivot to Trey Hendrickson. The Raiders are stuck holding the bag, as in they have way too many players and too much money for the cap. What is the situation? What are some of their options now? Because the Cowboys say they're no longer interested. Where does Maxx Crosby wind up, and what are the Raiders' options?
Yeah, it's a great question because, there's probably some teams, based on what the Ravens did and what they know, will drop out of the interest for Crosby. Even if they're still interested, I sincerely doubt, and especially after what maybe the backlash the Ravens got from their fans, that anybody's interested in giving up 2 first-rounders for Crosby. It's an incredibly weird situation because, by all accounts, teams knew what the timeline was for Crosby and his recovery and everything. it doesn't sound like that there should have been anything in the medicals and the physical and the timeline for Crosby that should have surprised the Ravens, but I don't know if they truly got cold feet over the trade, or they got cold feet over the fact that they could get Trey Hendrickson and not give up 2 first-round picks. This is a crazy one. We've seen deals, whether it's free agent contracts or trades, nixed before because of medicals and failed physicals, but this is a new one.
Being a conspiratorial advocate, is it possible that the Baltimore front office said, we're giving up too much on this, and gotten with the doctor and said, hey, look, let's examine this real carefully. Do you get our drift? Is that possible?
I've heard crazier ideas, Ned. So I'm not. I'm just as conspiracy oriented as you are, I think. So that's definitely on my list. That wait a minute, the Ravens were like, wait, maybe this is a bad trade, and we're also going to have to pay this guy because Crosby wants more money. So maybe we should, try something else instead. And honestly, I mean, they ended up getting a pretty good deal for Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah.
I mean, that's less money than they would get for Crosby, and it's less money than the Panthers paid for Jalen Phillips. So that's a really good deal to me.
Matt, give us your grade on the players the Chiefs have acquired in free agency.
I think you'd probably have to give him an A at some point, at least an A- at the worst. Discounting the players that they've lost and just focusing on what they've gained. Running back was the absolute black hole of this offense last year. And the Chiefs, with their actions, are telling you that they think the same thing. They may very well go into the season with just 2 new starters from last year. One will be a different wide receiver. I don't think that Hollywood Brown is going to be back. And the other one's going to be Kenneth Walker in the backfield. Andy Reid said flat out, after the season that no one respected their run game last year. And Kenneth Walker is going to make people respect them. He faced fewer light boxes than any other running back in the league last year. You get more teams to put 7 players in the box to watch and defend against that run. It's going to make life easier for Patrick Mahomes. So that's the one addition that they could and did make that should dramatically affect the offense. Khyiris Tonga, I think, is a really good, sneaky good addition. They need a big space eater in the middle next to Chris Jones that can free up Jones, help free up George Karlaftis. That's a piece that they really haven't had. I mean, Mike Pennell is a big guy, but he's also, going to be 35 years old this season. Derek Notty's had back problems. So, it's been a few years since they've had a solid, space eater there next to Chris Jones, and Tonga is one of those guys. Alohi Gilman, they got for cheaper than Brian Cook, and he doesn't have the injury history. Probably better as a pass coverage guy, too. So I think all 3 of those additions are good. And obviously you bring back Travis Kelce and you keep Tyquan Thornton. Thornton was their best deep ball receiver last year. And if they give him more opportunities and consistently, I mean, they basically took him off the field when Rashee Rice came back. And I think that also negatively affected the offense last year.
They'll also have new starters at both corners and at right tackle.
They will, and Art, those positions are not even settled yet. I mean, that's certainly going to be an area that they address in the draft. I still wouldn't be surprised if they address it in free agency. Right now you would probably be going into your next game with Noel Williams and Christian Fulton as your starters at corner. I mean, that's not a nightmare scenario, but after that, Kevin Knowles is probably next man up, and that's a thin bench. So they've got to address that a couple of different ways. The addition of Gilman really should help out in the secondary, especially at the safety level. He's definitely more of a free safety than they've had the last few years. Even Brian Cook, I think, is probably a better strong safety than a free safety. But they kind of had to force him into that role. Gilman's a natural free safety, so I'm really intrigued to see what they can do there. But corner, they've got to beef that up.
So I can't imagine what life is like for you and the other Kansas City media. You wake up on Monday thinking it's going to be a normal Monday, and then whoa, here comes the wave of announcements, and we don't understand why there's a legal tampering period. Why don't they just start the league year on Monday and cut that part out? But I guess that leads into, are they done? The official league season starts at 3 o'clock today. What's next for the Chiefs now with it officially opened up with free agency?
Yeah, as it pertains to their own free agents, I think the same kind of philosophy that they've been using to this point is going to hold true. They're letting basically all the guys that they have that are free agents test the market, see what's out there, and if the Chiefs feel like that they can match what some of these players are getting, they'll match it. But honestly, there's no one outside of Kelsey. I mean, there really wasn't anybody that they circled and said that we've got to have this guy back. I think they would have liked to have had Jalen Watson back at the right price after the McDuffie trade, but he just got too much money from the Rams, so that wasn't something that the Chiefs were going to be able to match. But with the other free agents, I mean, that's kind of it. There's a few of them that I think they'll let walk regardless. But this is going to be a bit of a turnover, and now I think Brett Veach is just looking at maybe the next wave that's going to be coming in. That's where there's going to be some bargains that they're going to try and find some guys that are maybe a little bit overlooked. There's a few places that they still need to get some bodies. Defensive line is another one of them in addition to corner. They might need to look at linebacker as well, unless they're really happy with Cooper McDonald and Jeff Bossa stepping in, with the absence of Leo Chanel, then that's a spot that might look as well. I think they still need a veteran receiver. Right now, I mean, Tyquan Thornton is the most experienced veteran in that room, but I think they need another experienced guy. I mean, a Juju Smith-Schuster type, but maybe a Juju Smith-Schuster with better knees. I think they'd love to have somebody with just a little bit more juice than what Juju has at this point in his career, unfortunately.
Well, they've got Rice and Worthy, and both had disappointing seasons. What do you think is the future for them?
Yeah, I mean, Rashee Rice is always going to be an enigma. I mean, this is his contract year, so historically, you'd say that this might be just the year to have Rashee Rice. If he can go out and have a big year, maybe that gives you an opportunity to maybe make a trade after the season if you have to franchise tag him, or just let him walk for a comp pick. I mean, there's a lot of scenarios. I can't imagine the Chiefs trading Rashee Rice. I think that you just wouldn't get a fair return, good value for him right now. So I think you're looking at sticking with him. I think Worthy, I don't think he was ever anywhere close to 100% healthy last year after suffering that shoulder injury in week 1 when he ran into Travis Kelce in the second play of the season. He was never 100%. So if he can stay healthy this year, I think he should have a bounce back year. But again, there's question marks there. There's question marks with Jalen Royals. It's another second year receiver that's going to be coming back. That's why I think Tyquan having him back is a pretty big addition. I mean, it gives him not only another deep threat, but Tyquan wants to be more involved, and that was one reason why you thought that he might leave, was because he wanted to go to a team that saw him as more than just a deep threat. Well, Chiefs are paying him a little bit now that maybe they will give him that consideration.
Matt, did the fact that Leo Chanel walked come as a surprise to you?
Really didn't, Ned. I mean, he liked Kansas City. Chiefs loved him too. He was kind of had a unique role, and one thing that was kind of unique about that is that they never really tried to grow him into a larger role. As much as Steve Spagnuolo really loves Leo Chanel and just praised him all the time, they never made him a full-time player. I mean, he was playing about 50% of the snaps consistently. He wanted to go somewhere where he could be a 3-down player and, hopefully play closer to 100% of the snaps. He wants to be an every-down starter. That was never going to happen in Kansas City. I think, I'm not sure if Washington's a perfect fit, but if they're paying him that, then they're certainly going to let him play more and give him more opportunities. And that's what he wanted more than anything else. I mean, more than money. I don't think the Chiefs would have been able to match that offer. It's too good of a deal for him. So happy for Leo. He's one of the good guys. He really is. And I hope it works out for him and that he gets the playing time that he's looking for.
The Kenneth Walker III deal. I know that he was frustrated, I think, with the situation in Seattle a little bit with, not getting carries, Charbonnet getting the goal line carries, Walker doing the work. But Kenneth Walker's always been a guy that there's always seems to be something with an ankle or a hamstring, or until this past year he actually stayed healthy. Are the Chiefs concerned about loading him down too much, you think, a little bit? And then was this a statement on they didn't think Jeremiah Love was going to be available at number 9, or do they just think Walker was a safer play?
Yeah, they definitely don't think that Jeremiah Love is going to be available at 9, and the fact that the Saints signed Travis Etienne, I think was another indication. They're at 8, and they've also been connected a lot to Jeremiah Love. The fact that they went and got a running back too. Think a lot of people I'm hearing from think that Jeremiah Love's going to go top 5, and you look at some of the teams that are there, they need running back help too. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of them does jump on Love. There's some other running backs later in the draft that the Chiefs might be interested in. I think that they definitely just need somebody else to pair with him, if for no other reason than in the NFL you're going to go through attrition. You're gonna lose a running back or two. You got to be prepared for that. And and the Chiefs the last few years weren't prepared for that. When Isaiah Pacheco went down, they really had to scramble to go out and get Kareem Hunt. And Kareem, if he comes back, you could end up with a little bit of the same thing with him and Kenneth Walker. Kareem's bread and butter is short yardage and a little bit of goal line. So I'd hate to see the same thing happen where Kenneth Walker does all the hard, heavy lifting and Kareem comes in for short yardage and goal line situations. But the Chiefs, maybe they're going to go a different direction. They have not re-signed Kareem yet. It doesn't look like there's been a lot of talks. Again, we'll see. He may shop around and see what's out there, and he might get an offer that the Chiefs just don't feel like that they can match.
That's a very interesting point you bring up about the rate of attrition, because I think the fans and maybe some on the follow the NFL closely don't take that into consideration. Having said that, do the Chiefs draft for depth with the first 2 rounds, with one pick in the first 2 rounds?
Yeah, and getting that second pick really does change the complexion of this draft, and even the number of picks that they got in the Trent McDuffie trade. They go from having 6 picks to 9 now in this draft, and to 2 first-rounders. It really changes what Brett Veach, can do. Obviously gives him the ability to do what he loves, which is to navigate the board a little bit. If they need to move up in the right spot, they can. I don't think that they are in a position where they have to now trade down from 9. That was looking like it might be a distinct possibility just to get the number of picks that they need in this draft. There's going to be more turnover this year than there has been the last few seasons. This is a team that needs to get younger and needs to get faster, needs to get more affordable. So they need as many of those picks as they can get their hands on. It does, I think, at the same time, especially making the Walker signing, it does give them a little bit more of freedom to go with the best available player. So if they need to go defensive line, if they need to go right tackle, if they could even go safety, corner. There's a lot of different ways they could go with those 2 first-round picks now.
Well, I think Monsieur Delane of LSU at corner would be a good pick at 9, a guy that might step right in like McDuffie did. And then Mitch Holtis tells me there are a lot of right tackles in the draft. It's really deep at that position. You maybe go there with the Rams pick.
Yeah, that really does look like kind of the rich spot for some of the tackles that are in this draft. And you're the Chiefs. You got Josh Simmons. They're feeling pretty good about him. So most of the tackles in this draft are left tackles, but doesn't mean they can't play on the right side. That pick at 29, even if they had to move up a little bit, there's a rich pocket, I think, of tackles that are going to be there. And corners are another rich spot there, too. And, remember, I'm trying to remember, I think it was 27 that they jumped up to for 22 to get McDuffie. That history could repeat itself. They could be trying to move up to get a corner there as well again this time. It's the same type of scenario that they've had before. Brett Veach always believes that, if a player that you've got a first-round grade on, and they usually have about 15 of those players, if one of them slips past 20, then that's when you start looking to make a move and to see if you can go get your guy and not just wait for him to fall to you. Now that they've got those 9 picks, they have the ability to move up from 29 if they have to.
Wouldn't be upsetting, I think, to Chiefs fans if they plan for the post-Travis Kelce era, the Sadiq kid from Oregon, the tight end that's a freak of nature, too. Might be somebody that if he falls enough that you could go up and get. Ran a 4.38, I think, in the 40 at the combine. Before, Matt, we let you go, if Patrick Mahomes isn't ready at the start of the season by some freak of nature because it's Patrick Mahomes, Gardner Minshew went to Arizona as the backup. Who's going to take the early season snaps? Is it somebody that's not on the roster as of now?
That would be my guess, and the Chiefs, they need a couple of bodies because for sure that you're not going to have Patrick Mahomes for off-season workouts, and maybe even not a big chunk of training camp. So right now you got Chris Oladokun to be your quarterback. I think you would love to have. You basically need 3 more quarterbacks for off-season workouts. So, are they going to end up with the bulk of their snaps either going to a guy like Oladokun, or are they going to be bringing in a veteran that's brand new to the offense? There's some real just unpleasant scenarios for the Chiefs at the quarterback spot, at least as far as just running the team during off-season workouts. So I'm interested to see where they go. And, by and large, a lot of the quarterbacks that you see out there, it's what you'd expect from a quarterback market. It's going to be a lot of guys who just haven't worked out in their previous stints and haven't necessarily shown a lot. If you're the Chiefs, are you looking at a guy like a Trey Lance type that, a younger guy that maybe there's some upside to that you can coach out of it, or are you looking at just pure veterans? I don't know if like a Jimmy Garoppolo is on their board, but those are the type of veterans that are out there. That might be too expensive. Ned, if you like conspiracy theories, I got a great one for you.
Shoot.
You look at what the Raiders and the Jets did with the Geno Smith trade. You do the same thing with Kyler Murray and get him to void his guarantees for 2027. I think that'd be a win-win for both sides, but I might be on an island on that one.
Yeah. Well, Matt, we appreciate your time, and this all is a problem because, dang it, Patrick Mahomes is supposed to be indestructible. He's not supposed to be hurt and doing all this stuff, right? So he's just supposed to be there. But always appreciate your time and your knowledge, and let's do it again soon as we approach the draft.
Sounds great, Scott. Always love talking to you guys. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Matt Derrick from Springfield Hillcrest, now operating out of Kansas City. We'll take your time out on the starting lineup and be back in a second.
You're listening to the starting lineup with Scott Purrier, Ned Reynolds, and Art Haynes on 102.1 The One.